All right, just clipping the mic real quick. Sorry for the noise. Sorry for the. All right, cool. Do this. Ooh, it's freezing today. It is freezing. Let me just shooting something else, and settings are messed up. Cool. Move away like this. Cool. Are we good? Yes, we're good. A little bit of light there, and a little bit of light here. I'm gonna. Where are they? These are here, left. All right. Hey, Bridget. Good to see you.
Hi.
Thanks for joining. How are you?
I'm good. It's freezing where you are, but here it's nice and Easterish and warm.
Yes, but it has been raining for 6 days straight, and
Oh my God.
And the mornings, which is weird, and the mornings are a little bit chill, and so so chilly, yeah. So anyway, I'm going to open this light. Awesome, and then this guy here, boom, and then this guy here, not as white. All right, cool. I think this is it. Let me just fix a couple of things here. Okay, that'll work. This'll do. Cool. All right, a little bit less of these. All right, so orchestral trailer today. Hey, John. Orchestral epic trailer. How are you?
Good. Yeah.
All right. Good to see
Another
you.
week.
Another week. All right. So this is going. Let's see if this guy opens. No. Keep. Awesome. Great. So trailer.
Is there also be a YouTube link for just in case?
Yes.
For the audio?
Yes. I'm streaming to YouTube. It just on Facebook as well. Let me. Yeah. Let me just do this for you. YouTube. Let me open this a little bit so you can see it. Because I was putting it on private so no one can see other than us. And then boom, share link. Here's the link for you guys. Oh, I'm sorry, it's taking a little bit. Share more chat, YouTube. Boom, there you go. All right, cool.
Oh, thanks.
No problem, my pleasure. Let's do this. So, trailer music. So the thing with trailer music, I'm gonna share with you guys the experience or the. I always like to talk about a little bit about what goes behind. You know, we talk about the composing, but before we talk about the like how to compose in that style, I like talking about what is going on behind the act of composing. To me, trailer music. Sort of like I was scared to write in that style because like, oh, it sounds so big, sounds so good, sounds so epic, sounds huge, right? And I thought this like musically, obviously, it is simple, right? It's like library music, but there is something in terms of production that makes it sound so good, right? And so in my head it's like this is gotta be complex somehow, and so it is not complex, and it's actually very simple. It's not. Also, sometimes we see when you go on YouTube, you see like people teaching how to write trailer music, and sometimes you see these massive sessions, maybe a big template, thousands of tracks, and just just the tracks that they used for the trailer track. Maybe they've got hundreds of tracks. It doesn't necessarily need to be that way, okay? It can be way more simple. It's about finding the elements. Generally, when you see all these, big sessions with hundreds of tracks, it's usually because they've been using like individual instruments or sections, and they have to layer stuff because you are going for that big sound. In my case, type of template that I have and the type of template that I suggest or that I like suggesting as like the best practice or it's the type of template like the pre-orchestrated template. So many of my tracks, even though I have individual instruments and sections, I also have like the pre-orchestrated sound. So when I need the bigger trailer-ish type of sound, I already have it there. So to me, it looks like one track, one MIDI region, right? But it's not. But in there, maybe there's like a collection of 20 tracks going on at the same time, right? It's like 20 contact. It's one contact instant, 20 patches in there. So that's that helps me create that sound a little bit faster. And the other thing is sometimes trailer doesn't necessarily mean it's so many like the big epic sound. It's not about trying to put things together to get that sound. Sometimes it's a couple or 3 or 4 elements together. What's the most important part here is development. Okay. And
Mark,
yes.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead.
I'm super interested in this patch thing that you were talking about. You create a contact patch where several instruments are loaded to receive this trailerish sound. Can you, in the course of this session, show us how do you produce it, or is it one of your fast action template thing, or is it a special patch for trailer?
No, no, it's exactly what you mentioned. It's either one of my fast action patches, as you mentioned here, like the long orchestral, or the small, or the. Oh, again, 1 second. Cover your ears because it's gonna be noisy. 1 second as I switch this. It's gonna do like a noise. Sorry, coming on. There you go. Ah.
Oh, and are all those patches playing at the same time?
Yes, they are.
Inside of a contact instance.
Yes, like this. 1 second. Let me get this out of the way. Yes. Right. So that's that. So you can have way bigger patches, like way bigger stack of patches in one of these instances. So anyway, this is the concept. Cool. I hear a little bit of echo. Let me see. I guess it's okay. Okay, cool. So that's that. Development. I think it's the main thing when it comes to trailer music. Hey everyone. Hey Andreu, how are you? Premi, good to see you. All right, so the development is the big thing. It's not complex music. It's about development. The first, like, quick story. The first time that I'm really slow motion, one of the big trailer houses here in town. They put music for like the biggest studios, Disney and Fox and Sony. The guy there is forgot the name. Oh, I forgot the name. Forgot the name.
What are they called?
Really slow motion. Really slow motion.
Thomas Bergerson?
No, that's the Two Steps from Hell guy. I forgot the name. I woke up at 3 a.m. today. Anyway, he contacted me like a couple of years before actually launching this thing, launching the idea of really slow motion, and I never responded to him. I never saw the email. Few years later, I'm talking with a friend, Simon, friend back from USC, and he's like, I spoke with, forgot the name of this guy. I forgot. So anyway, so I was speaking with this guy from Really Slow Motion, and your name came up. It's like he told me that he sent you an email and you never responded. It's like, what are you talking about? It's like, yes. And so I searched the email, and that was like a year ago or 2 years ago. So I searched the email, I found his email, it's like, cool, wow, and I never responded, so I responded like 4 years later. And then it's like, and I told him the story. And then he was living in Hollywood, I was living in Glendale. And then we met, and we spoke and all that, and he's like, do you want to write music? It's like, yes, I'd love to. And so I composed a track, and I sent the track, and the feedback was, this is not trailer music, this is a score. And at the time, I didn't understand. It's like, what do you mean score, right? They don't generally give you plenty of notes. It's just, this is not trailer music, this is a score. And so, to me, I thought, is it the sound? And it wasn't the sound. It was the way that the music develops in the music that you are doing for a scene or for a video game. It's different than the music that you do for library music or trailer music. It starts with a very, very basic idea that evolves and you develop, but it doesn't go very, very far musically. It's about how well you develop this, so you have the same thing over and over again, and it doesn't feel boring. So that's the main concept of trailer music. It's development. It's not music complexity. It's development. Okay, so that's that. I just wanted to share that with you to start the class. And so, so this is it's trailer music. It's not concert music, or it's not scoring sort of thing. All right. So so that's one thing, development. And the other thing is the perfection in production. So it's going to be more produced in general than the type of music that you would do for a movie, right? The type of things that we talk about over and over about the music has to sound realistic. And in order for the music to sound realistic, we tend to, there are imperfections in music, and we want these type of imperfections, like the good type of imperfections, like the human, like that make the music sound good, right? So when we are performing, we want quantize at 100%, right? Most of the times, when we write a legato, we won't even quantize. When we write the staccatos, sometimes we may compress a little bit the velocity to make them a little bit more even. That's for the film music. For trailer music, same thing. So we are not quantizing at 100%, but we're quantizing closer to 100%. So we are getting closer to perfection, still leaving some imperfections, so the music sounds realistic and not like a computer sort of thing, not like a machine. So it still feels alive, but it's going to be way more perfected than regular music, not regular music, like other styles. Okay, so if we look at electronic music, heavily produced, perfection, right? Then we would have and then if we have this pop, electronic, hip hop, and then we move to orchestral music. Trailer music in terms of production would be a little bit closer to that type of highly produced music, while still leaving some of the imperfections that make that orchestral music sound alive. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so that's what we are covering here. It's that imperfection still there, but trailers sound way more polished than any other style. We still record dynamics, but they will be more perfected. We'll quantize closer to the grid. All right. So that's that. That's the concept. That's what goes behind the idea of trailer music. A few sample libraries. There are many others. Just a few recommendations. I am going to use, this is the small template, these are our template, so this is gonna be mostly Albion. But if you wanna go a little bit beyond and you wanna test some of the libraries, some suggestions here. Cinematic Studio Strings are great. I like them a lot for trailer music. Because of that, right? The type of staccato that you would get with a regular library, it has, if it's a good library, it has a big dynamic range, right? From very, very soft pianissimos to very loud fortissimos or triple forte, right? With Cinematic Studio Strings, it feels a little bit more. it's easier to perform those staccatos because it feels like you can enhance the dynamic range, but in general, out of the box sounds quite even. So it's easy to perform, and it sounds a little bit more trailer in that end. Cool. So all right. So that's for the few libraries here. Now style definition, very simple. Usually we talk about tempo, rhythm, orchestration, harmony, and melody, right? Now this time we're gonna add structure as well because it's one of these library music styles. So structure, just defining it real quick. It's structure is an important part of this style. So do I have it some? Let me just So generally, the trailer music will have a very clear structure. Usually we'll have like an intro, then presenting the main theme, maybe a main theme again, then maybe the bridge, and then main theme again, and outro. But make sure it doesn't really matter the exact structure. What matters is for the structure to be clear. Sometimes it's intro, theme A, sort of like, and then B, and then bridge, A again, and outro. What's important again is to have a very clear structure. Usually it's going to be very symmetric for 8-16 bar phrases. Aim to include clear sections, so it's like an intro, A section, B section, bridge, outro, or sometimes it's going to be intro, A section, B section, bridge, A section again, outro. Try to incorporate breaks, so sometimes it's going to be like intro, A section, B section, cliffhanger, 2 beats of like silence, or just like a reverb tail, or 4 beats, or 1 bar, whatever it is, right? And then bridge, build another silent sort of thing, and then outro. So it's very common, right? Like having this, maybe you have intro, A section bigger, right? Then you've got bridge, and then you've got the A section again, build, cliffhanger, 1 bar, maybe it's or 2 beats, whatever it is, and then big hits outro thing for the big titles, right? Now understand, and this is very important because generally, unless it's like a franchise, or like you know, if it's like Star Wars or it's like Harry Potter, where they want to use the theme and maybe they are actually composing the music for that trailer, which is rare. Most of the cases it's going to be different. They're gonna pick different tracks and they're gonna build the trailer and, you know, piecing together different trailer tracks. And so sometimes you will get, when you get your music placed on a big trailer, like in a studio trailer, sometimes they'll select 10 minutes or 10 seconds or 20 seconds of your music. They'll pay you maybe $15,000, so 15 grand for 10 seconds or 20 seconds of your music, which feels really good. Doesn't happen every day. You want to do that, right? Yeah. It's like the best paid 1 second of music ever.
Me too.
Exactly. It doesn't happen every day. You've got to say, so people who work professionally on that, it's a lot of demoing, and sometimes you get the gig and still you're competing with the 10 other composers to see which cues get selected just for like 10 seconds or 5 seconds or just a hit or stuff like that. But still, it's very well paid. And this type of music, it's the challenge is the sound, production, and creativity, and that's very staying up with the trend of the sound that's trending this year, and all that cool stuff. So the trailer music these days, at the moment, it's more like sound production. It's more sound production than music. There are two big styles, like the orchestral epic, sometimes a little bit more like melodical, descriptive, orchestral epic type of music. Big choir orchestra, which is what we're gonna be seeing today. Then there's the sound design, and then there's in the in-between, right, the hybrid sound type of thing, and that's the other style, like when you put together the synths and sound effects and the orchestra sound, like the sound effects and all this sound effects and sound design for the impact, the orchestral sound for the epic type of thing, hybrid type of sound. It's very common these days as well. All right, so that's that. Boom, breaks, not longer than 2 minutes. Yeah, that's important. The first track that I did, 2 minutes 40. The notes that I got, this is not trailer music, this is score, and second, get rid of 50 seconds. So it's like really under 2 minutes. That's like, yeah, minute and a half, minute 50 max. So that's that. Cool. Tempo and rhythm. Again, always write in simple time signature. It's gonna be 2-4-4, sometimes 3-4 can work. Aim for tempos between 80 and 160. Try to keep your melodies simple, talking like quarter notes, eighth notes maybe, half notes, and then ostinatos are going to be the thing that is going to create the motor, right? Or right type of thing. So that's very common type of thing. Harmony. It's gonna be major or minor. It's going to be super simple. Even if we are talking about like the orchestral epic type of trailer sound, it's gonna be very simple. Let me see if I can pull up some of the. This is gonna be MTCM. Let me just see. Let me just open MTCM. There you go. Trailer. I'm gonna go here to images. This photos. See all. And then we're gonna go to the trailer. This one. All right. So first time that I had to write for like a major trailer house, I was super excited, but I was very, very scared because it was the first time, like for me to like truly go for it, right? And so I did what every good composer would do, right? I would listen to music, I would analyze the music, I would analyze the crap out of it, and try to learn as much as possible. And what I try to learn is the structure, type of melodies, type of harmonies, type of orchestration, and type of sound, right? And so it's like, okay, first of all, I need to know all these things, and in order for the sound, what libraries should I be using, right? Because the orchestral stuff, cool, but what about all the hybrid, right? I'm not gonna create the sounds from scratch. I can, it takes forever. What libraries are like the trailer type, and so that's the work that I did. So I took like one of these. I don't know if you can see the little board right there. This guy, it has these things that you can fold down, like you know what I'm talking about, right? And so basically I just put it here, and I started studying, and I started taking notes. And out of this, I took several pages. I took a photo of one of them, which is this one. Posted it in the group, and you know how to find it. And basically, I analyzed the structure, and because that's the thing that I was more interested about. And so as you can see, let me see if I can zoom in. No, I can't. PC. Okay. How can I do this? Anyway, so you can see the intro here, right? It's like intro, 4 bars plus 4 bars, and then again 4 bars plus 4 bars, and then every 4 bars there's a Brahms. It's here, Brahms, right? So the type of sound, like sort of like the Inception, Hans Zimmer type of low brass type of thing, but bigger sort of thing. And then intro, A minor, the entire intro, and then we've got the theme, which is A minor, F. So 4 bars, F minor, 4 bars, F, 8 bars, 4 bars, A minor, 4 F, 4 A minor, F, A minor, F, A minor, F, A, F, A, F, A, F, A, second inversion with the E, which is like the end of the sort of like the biggest part, and then boom, resolution and outro. So it's like A, F, so A minor, F, A, F, A, F, A, F, the entire track. 4 bars of A, 4 bars of F. So that's sort of like the type of harmony. So this is for like the dark orchestral epic type of trailer. Key A minor, I guess. And so that's how simple it is in general. It can be a little bit more complex, but you're gonna be repeating this over and over, and it is okay. It is okay. It's okay to use the same chord progression over and over, as more variation can be provided by orchestration. And when we talked about development, we talked about melodic development, right? And then at one point, a few classes ago, at some point we talked about what if we don't have melody? What if the music is not tonal? What if we don't even have like a key? What? how can we develop? Because we can't even modulate, we can't. And so we talked about things that we can still do. The most obvious one was timbrical development, meaning we can develop the orchestration. We can use the same whatever thing, motif, or whatever thing that we have. Sometimes we don't even have melody, we don't have a theme, we don't have a motif, but we can still use the pitch class set or whatever it is. And the way to develop that idea is timbrically, the orchestration, which is what trailer music does. It doesn't really, so the theme is the same over and over sometimes. It stops and then brings it back again. But it's the same thing over and over. What evolves is it builds and builds and builds and builds. It builds bigger, 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 bigger. Hit, stop, small, big, and then build again, sort of thing, right? So it's okay to use the same chord progression over and over again. Melody, again, keep the rhythm simple. A repeating melodic pattern, both in terms of pitches and rhythms, while changing chords underneath can present a strong melody, right? Yeah. I've done a lot of talking. It's just an example. For example, let me bring up the volume a little bit with this guy. Yeah. Right, sort of thing. It's very, very typical trailer type of thing. To me, I believe the challenging part of this style is it's very easy. This is super cliche. This has nothing. It's not very creative musically. What is the thing that makes it special? How do you stay creative when it's like, I want to do that, right? How do you stay creative trying to chase the idea of money, right? Because like, I want to get paid for that big. What are you chasing? Is it the money? Is it the validation? Is it the recognition that your music went there? And whatever of those things are not gonna fit the creativity. The fact that you are going to I'm gonna mute you guys. The fact that you are going to need to compose a lot of very similar music to reach that goal that you have. What's going to make challenging is the concept that you have to be writing very similar music, and it's going to be hard to stay creative and focused. So that is the challenging. Friends that do live free music, it's like it's very hard to stay creative and motivated, especially when and I admire them a lot, because it's a lot of personal power to keep going in the same direction and be consistent. The consistency is the thing that I struggle most with, and that I work harder to stay consistent. So when I see them doing the same thing and actually succeeding, but it's not easy, right? Because you depend on an algorithm or someone else taking the decision for you. The same thing applies with score music for movies. You depend on someone else to approve your music, right? And so it's a lot of stress as well there. And sometimes it's someone who's even not a musician, right? So I would argue that sometimes like audio jungle algorithms knows more about music than a director sometimes. So it's challenging as well. But anyway, it's very cliche. You'll see me doing things that are very, very cliche. And two things. First, how do you do something that makes it special? That's one thing, and that makes it worth listening to. And two is sometimes we get limited. We limit ourselves thinking about what can I do to make this special before, ahead of time. Sometimes it doesn't need to be special. In the concept, in the idea, doesn't need to be special. There's something else going to make it special. Maybe timbrically there's something special. Maybe the production is top notch. Maybe, right? So we sometimes limit, or we don't do something. We say this idea, no, trash, right? And we do that before we give it a chance to evolve and become something better, okay? So that's, to me, the challenging part of trailer music. Musically speaking, it's simple, right? So I'm gonna finish defining this. So hopefully this makes sense. Aim to use notes of the corresponding chord. Chords often try to avoid melodic jumps more than a fifth. And counter melodies are also a good way to add a little bit of variation. Finally, in terms of orchestration, just some suggestions, but shorter strings are often heavily used, especially for ostinatos. Long string patches are good for harmonic accompaniment and melodic writing. Epic bombastic percussion is often used to add rhythmic detail and movement. Low and high percussion, don't think epic percussion is always going to be big drums. Big drums make it sound epic, and add that big percussion sound, but the definition is, usually I see it this way. So the low drums are weight, mid is punch, and high is definition, right? So depending on what you want, if you want the big sound that fills the entire spectrum and takes all the available space, sort of thing, then orchestrate that hit, right? So again, high-pitched percussion instruments, it's like definition. Mid is more like the punch, and obviously there's mid, high, mid, low, and all that, right? But just in very, very simplistic, high definition, mid, punch, low, weight, okay, and support. And the brass are also very extremely effective for melodic materials, but like the French horn or the trumpets, when it goes high in register. Trombones, if you need to sound a little bit darker. Choir, all the way. Big, epic, dark moment, choir. And then pulsing synth basses often help fatten the low end. So if you've got maybe or maybe not, you have like the right, that type of thing. And then underneath that, you can have, do I have it here? Yeah, I should. There you go. Yeah. Ooh. Oops. This doesn't sound the way I want it to sound. What? Interesting. It shouldn't happen. I do not want the delay. Oh, I can modify it. Anyway, you get the idea. Without the delay. Without the delay, obviously. Why is this happening exactly? Give me 1 second. I'm gonna add something else here. I'm down below. Yours. Add instrument track is going to be Zebra. Where's my Zebra? Zebra. Just gonna select one bass, but if it loads Zebra. Hey, you guys, how are you? Thanks for joining. Did it load it? Oh, add track. Cool. Again, that's super interesting. Let's do this again. Let's do this one more time. Delete. Remove. Hopefully, if it doesn't work, I won't waste your time any longer. Come on. Yeah, this will do. Yeah, this will do. It's very loud, and I have to bring this guy over here and I'm gonna move this here. So this guy here, this guy here, and then the volume is going to go down to -24, -24, like this. Cool. And now this is going to go up here, and this is going to be red. And then here we got this guy. It's filtering it, and this guy is compressing it a little bit. Yeah. I don't have control over volume. It's okay. Cool. Yeah, this will do. Yeah. So bass. Something like this, for something very, very clean. That's. I would like a faster attack, but for now it'll do. Okay, 20. Something like this. Cool. All right. So let's get to compose a little bit. Let me see if I forgot anything here. Step by step. All right. So we're gonna compose 2 sections. Okay. What time is it? We're gonna compose 2 sections: the intro and then the big epic. So we're not going to compose the entire trailer. We're gonna create the intro. What I want to work with you here is the idea of development. Then I'll give you some time to come up with a sketch, maybe, and start recording the first instruments. Then I'll come back and I'll do like the big climatic moment. And what I want to work with you there is how to create the big sound. Okay. So that's it. Let's do this. So tempo, I guess. So first of all, we're gonna come up with a melody. So I'll go here with the piano. I think I've got 2 pianos. I've got this one, which has more reverb. Yes. It will do something like this. Can I put this somewhere here? Yeah. One, 3. So what I'm thinking is this. So the chords will be if you wanna more let me see, emotional there, right here. Emotional. I'm gonna move this adventure trailer. So chords, like typical trailer music chords. Got a list here. These work a little bit more in the bright like side, so it's not as like for the dark trailer, but maybe these ones here for the minor key. And what I'm doing and what I'm using, the one that I'm using at the moment is this one. So. Alright, super simple. So, and then yeah. So that's what I'm gonna do. Alright, so let's see. Just making sure that the velocities are quite even. I'm gonna quantize this a little bit so it's a little bit more perfect. It's not perfectly quantized, but quite. So this is the first pass. This is the melody. I'm gonna repeat this over and over and over and over and over again. So I'm gonna repeat this 4 times for the intro. Now, development, variation. So the first time I'm gonna do this. The second time, let's see, I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger. I'm gonna add a little bit of. Yeah. Now, yeah, let's keep it just super simple. Alright, just adding a little bit of, it's not even a counter melody. One more time. And then we can. Some very basic harmonies maybe here. No, too complex. Not the third. It's gonna go with the fifth. Come on, cool. And this one. Maybe what I can do is this is gonna be too low. I'm gonna bring this up an octave, and then here I'm gonna double this up an octave. Yes, exactly. Cool. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna repeat this one more time, and then I'm gonna bring this even up an octave. Let's see. Let's start with a little bit more of reverb, and then sorry, J, more reverb. This piano has more reverb, and as we transition, maybe we will need less reverb because we'll have more instrumentation and we've got more support. So it'll like this. Let me see if this works, and that'll record the strings. All right. This is a ton of reverb, so I'm gonna get rid of a little bit of it. This controls the amount of reverb. It's a send, basically. So this is gonna work at the beginning because we won't have that much support. We bring it down a little bit. I may need to readjust this. Sorry, here. We're gonna have a lot. In fact, this is going to need to go down quite a bit because we're gonna have the staccato strings coming in at some point. So let me see if this works. Need to adjust this a little. A little bit of. Cool. So we've got this idea over and over. So 1, 2, 3 with the inner voice, and then 4 up an octave with the inner voice. No, maybe here. Yeah, so this thing, I just realized, this thing that I recorded is the repetition of this. And now I'm adding this second line that is, it was here, not here, and then again here. Da, do, 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 da, do, no. Da, do, di, do, do, di, do, di, do, do, di. Simplify di, do, rem, po, rim. All right, yes. All right, cool. So we've got this, we're gonna record the strings. So what we are going to do is this. Let me just prepare this in advance. Let me see, trailer emotional. Where's, no, this trailer is here. Yes. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the piano. Then the piano is going to have a little bit of variation. So piano variation, first time variation, like development. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we're going to have the strings, very simple pad here, support, adding a little bit of support in harmonic background. We're going to thicken the texture, so 2 lines maybe, then 3 lines. Then towards the end of the third repetition, we're gonna add the cellos and double basses, maybe just in transition to the big part. So that's for the long sustained strings. Okay. Then so first repetition, the second repetition, we're gonna add the staccato strings. All right. And then we're gonna repeat this. What we're gonna do is at the end of the third repetition, it's gonna go up a little bit, right, in dynamic and volume, and then we're gonna have it in octaves for the third time. Right, we're gonna include the low synth, the pulsing low synth in the third repetition, and that's about it. Maybe a little bit of very subtle sub boom hits or something like this, and that's it. This is like the chord progression that we are doing. Yeah, maybe a little bit of atmospheric percussion here and there, sustained very very soft cymbal hits, or sustained like very subtle swells, stuff like this, to add a little bit of ambience. That's about it. Let's do this. So we've got the piano. Let's record the strings. It's gonna be like soft, long, sustained strings, something like these. So long strings. Let me see. So this is the first, the first and the fifth. I do not want to do this. I don't want to have the third just yet. So I'm gonna move here. So I'm gonna do this and then this. It's not parallel, but it's almost parallel. And then no. So I'm gonna do this. I'm trying for the notes to be as connected as possible, not to jump. So I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. The melody is gonna be right here, so I'll try to be this G to be very, very subtle. Melody is gonna be here. I don't want the the background material and the direction, like top note of the background material to take to conflict with the melody to sound more important, or to, so I'm gonna try to avoid that. All right, so no third so far. All right, cool. So clear ascending direction, both in the volume dynamics and also register. Now, we said that in the second repetition, third time around, sorry, would include the lower strings, creating a space to add the lower strings. So we've got first repetition, 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, and then at the end of the third repetition, we're going to enhance a little bit. All right, cool. Did I do any overlap? You're gonna go right here. Cool. Can we just hide this for a second? Boom, 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 boom. Correct. That's correct. All right. So 1, 2, 3. This is too big of a lip. So in general, we don't want to have more than an octave. So we've got 3 notes here in the low. It's okay. If it was a real orchestra, we could divide the cellos. This is trailer music that we're not trying to make this sound realistic or anything like that. So we've got 6 voices. It's okay. Okay, so that's that for the long strings. Adding a little bit of support. Let's add the short staccato strings. Gonna come in the second repetition. So it's gonna go like this. First time. Out of here. No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So what happened with the piano right here? No, 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 no. No, here. There you go. Oh, this is the problem. Cool. I need to move this here. There you go. Very nice. record this, sometimes I just record the first pass and then I repeat. You can see how it's growing a little bit in terms of dynamics. Now, the way I would truly do this, sorry, here, how it grows in terms of dynamics, it goes up a little bit, goes up. The way I would do this is first, the perfection and production concept that we talked about. Let's quantize this a little bit. So quantized, it's a little bit more quantized. I'm going to quantize a little bit more. So we quantized it twice at 60%. So the 60% of the 60% is sort of like a 36, right? So 30, sorry. So 36. So it's like the 30%. It's like we've quantized it like 80, 90%, something like this. And so it's quantized quite a bit. And now in terms of dynamics, so we've got so I like doing things in this type of music, like connecting to chords. So tati toti tati toti tati toti tati toti tati tota tati tota tati tota tati tota toto teti to, and two chords and down, right? So up and down, and then up and down a little bit more, then a little bit more, a little bit more, and make it grow and grow and grow. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do here. So so it would go like this, and I would do this note by note, but just for the sake of doing it faster, I'm talking about something like this. Tati toti tati, something like this. Tati toti. Let me see. Tati. No, it's too perfect. Let's do this. Let's do this the right way. It's gonna take a little bit longer. Tati toti tati toti tati toti tati toti. So tati toti. So it would be something like the first one is gonna be a little bit louder. The second one a little bit softer, right? The third one a little bit louder, and then like this. Tati toti tati toti, and then tati toti, and then we could repeat this, so I don't have to do this over and over again. Tati toti tati toti, and then we're gonna bring up tati toti tati. It's going up, and then tati dodam, and then it's gonna go down tati. No, and then this over and over again. So these are going to go down a little bit, a little bit, a little bit. So you can see the gesture like this, right? And then we would do this over and over and over and over again. Okay, so it takes long, but right. So we would do this over and over again. We would have to. Let me see if I have this written somewhere. No, I think I did this already somehow somewhere. Maybe here? No. No, sorry. Here. Staccato strings. Maybe this guy here. No. Where is it? Sorry, kids. Down there. You get the idea. Hopefully you get the idea. All right. I'm just gonna continue. Where am I? There you go. All right. Sustained strings, staccato strings. Gonna have the low synth right here. to the synth. Ideally, I would like to be able to control volume with expression, which I don't have it configured at the moment, but you get the idea. So quantized, very quantized is this one. A little bit of sub bomb at the beginning of each repetition. So one, where's the sub bomb? Where's my mixer? Right, there you go. A bit louder. I missed one, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Oh, I'm missing one repetition. Anyway. And each one a little, so here we go. So each one a little bit louder. There you go. Each one a little bit louder, like this. All right, cool. All right, and maybe towards the end we can add a little bit of ascending string, something like this. What just happened? All right, cool. So that's it. A little bit of that towards the end. These are legato strings in octaves. Okay, so what we are actually hearing is twice, so it's 2 octaves of this. So that's it. That's it. I don't know what, there's something wrong with this patch, it doesn't work, I don't hear it, sometimes I hear it loud, I have to reload it again, whatever. Okay, so that's it, that's the intro. Let's hear it one more time. I'll re-record this so you hear the effect, but it's not perfect, but it's a good starting point. So that's it, not that many tracks. not that big either, but we're getting there, right? We're just building, we're creating the sound, we are getting into the, and so after this we can have like the big melodic statement, maybe it's the theme, or like which would be da do da ti do re. We can go bigger and present it a couple of times or whatever it is. Okay, so I'm gonna give you 10 minutes. I'll take a break. I'm gonna give you guys 10 minutes. Come up with a sketch, something like this. Maybe you can do three things. One, you can try to just go to your sequencer and try to write something. You can maybe instead try to write the sketch, like the very simple, okay, this is going to be the melody, this is going to be the harmony. Maybe 10 minutes gives you enough time to do something like this. Or maybe you want to come up with the structure. This is going to be what I'm going to be doing, okay? So as you can see, it's very simple. You may get caught up with the, I don't know if I'm adding the right instruments at the right time. Just do something like this that makes sense initially. Then as you start building, you'll see things that don't work, and you're like, okay, no, I'm gonna try this instead. There is not right or wrong. What I would say is like there are sort of like the standards, and so you can start with what I recommend if it's the first time doing something like this, not now but later on. Listening to, if you want to write music like this, listen to music like this and start analyzing the easiest part, which is structure, and see what instruments come in when, and try to understand what level, what role they play. And then are they creating the movement motor type of thing? Are this like background is like the main element? Is the main element? Are they adding support? Are they adding depth? Right? What are they doing? And then that's the first part. And then analyze the harmony and the different elements and what sounds and what libraries they are using, etc., etc. By the way, I don't know if I mentioned this, and then with that I'll let you go for 10 minutes. I don't know if I mentioned this. Okay, so piano, this piano, shorter string, this is string, long string, legato, percussion. So for if you want to get into this style for trailer music, for if you are going to go to a more hybrid type of sound, more sound design type of thing, if you don't want to design the sounds from scratch, the to-go libraries that I would go for is anything from Audio Imperia is great. Anything from Audio Imperia is fantastic, great sound, very now sounding hybrid elements, pulses and brums and hits and punches and all this good stuff. And then anything from Keep Forest is great as well. Okay, not everything, but let me see what things I like.
Can I ask a question at this point?
Yes.
In one of the libraries from Keep Forest, I think in this Evolution Dragon, there is this trailer piano with this gigantic reverb on it.
Yes.
And but you were recreating it in a way with your tons of reverb. But I wondered which piano patch you were using, because it was so high, so crisp. And is it your regular emotional piano thing, or another one?
It is, yes, it is. Piano, yes, the emotional one, the master patch. Yeah,
and the reverb comes from the send.
The reverb is this guy here.
To have more control, because in the Keep Forest one, which is it's really nice with tons of reverb, but you cannot control the reverb on this.
Yes, yeah. Yes, what this guy is, I think, is Ether. Let me see, or what? Or no, maybe it's just Fab Filter. No, it's B2. Yes, it's the it's Random Cathedral 1. That's what it is. It's Random Cathedral 1. I'm sending a ton, so it's like 50% dry, 50% reverb. That's what it is. It's minus 2.15, so it's almost zero. So it's like 50% direct sound, 50% reverb. So it's a ton of reverb. It's a very long, 5 seconds, very deep, warm reverb. It's dual engine. So this guy here, what it does, it creates reverb, creates two reverbs that puts them together, sound very deep, and it's very smooth, natural decay type of thing. And so that's what it is. Very long, deep, natural sounding, very lots of depth, warm type of cathedral type of reverb on top of a piano. This is the trailer piano. Basically is just like a high note usually at the beginning of the trailer, bam type of thing. And yes, I think it's Keep Forest Dragon or Keep Forest, I don't remember if it's Dragon or
Atlantica, I guess.
Yeah, maybe. They changed the page. Cool. Libraries. Yeah, anything from Evolution is great. Ether is great as well, and Beginnings is for guitars and stuff like this. Evolution. I have, which one I have? Yeah, Evolution Atlantica. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna give you 10 minutes. Do you have any question?
Mark,
yes.
Could you please, when you leave, can you put up that starting point slide?
Like the slides?
Yeah, the slide for like.
Absolutely.
The starting.
Yes.
For the sketch. Thanks.
Oh, yes. This guy here. Cool. Can I put it here?
I have a question. I hope a short one. If you have a patch where you combine the violins 1 and 2 legato in octaves, but you are writing only one MIDI note, and through the patch it creates this octave doubling.
Yes.
Doubling in octaves. How do you accomplish this? How do you get this in the contact? I think you're stacking 2 patches, but how do you accomplish it that it transpose an octave? Or just 2 different patches? Of course. Yeah.
Great question. Yes, fair enough. Very simple. I just go ahead and I load. Let's say that I loaded 2 patches. Okay, these violins 1. I'm gonna get rid of this guy. Let's say that I had 2 patches. Just I would have violin 1 and violin 1 again because I don't have violins 2. So it's I'm tricking the ear. So violins 1 legato and violins 1 legato. And what I do here is that I'll go in here and I'll select all groups, and then I'll go to mapping here, and then I will select all the notes and I'll move them. So select everything, right, and I will move them left or right. That's it.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah. Careful, now I messed it up.
Oh, very cool.
And yeah, that's I do that with timpani. I'll go with the timpani as well. So I have up here the long notes without so with long release, down here the notes with this hand stopping the timpani sound. I've got the same thing for the piatti ch or ch type of thing. I have that for the snares as well, the lowest snares, the highest snares, and I position. So whenever I want to get something else out of the instrument, I either configure it so I can control it with some of these, or with a different part of the keyboard. And sometimes I want to build like a percussion set where I have the low, mids, and high instruments, and it's not in one patch. I'll load it several times. I'll go in there and move the notes where I want to have them, and then I have it's about and then it's about learning where I put it, getting used to it, and that's it.
And you save it as a multi or as an instrument?
As a multi.
Yeah.
But in order to achieve it, you have to select edit all groups.
Edit all groups.
For this one patch.
Yes, and then here select selected groups only.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, because otherwise sometimes in here you won't see some of the groups and the layers that are behind. And so anyway.
To get this right, you grab all the groups and move it, for this example of the violins 1 and 2, 1 octave to the right.
It depends. If you want to sound it higher, then you would move it to the left because you are moving the high notes lower in the keyboard. So when you play this note, the note that was here, now it's here. the note that was here, now it's here because you moved it down.
Ah.
So it sometimes it's like a little bit confusing, but you have to move them the other way around. That what it would make sense. Move them down so when you play the note, it sounds higher. Because you're moving the samples down. The keyboard stays the same. You're moving the samples down
Yeah, the
with the
samples
keyboard.
are fixed. Yeah.
Yep. Or sometimes with Albion, you already have a legato octaves patch. So in that case, you wouldn't need to do something like this unless you specifically want this. All right. Cool. Any other question?
Mark,
Yes. Andreu.
can you show again the MIDI that you have for the strings?
Yes. So for the strings, we've got the long legato notes, and I have these. Which is these chords over here. La menor, fa mayor, do mayor, sol mayor, E minor, F, C, G. So that's for the highest strings, for the longest strings, I am sorry. And then for the staccato strings, what we have is this. Yeah.
When you produce this ostinato pattern, what do you think in your head? Do you know already, I don't know, 1, 3, 4, 5, blah, 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 is in numbers? Or can you recommend some ostinato strategies?
That's a great question. So when I came up with this ostinato, what I thought is, what notes can I have that are shared among, in all the chords? So I started with like, okay, so I've got an A and an F, right? So we've got the A, and then I've got the F. All right. So I guess I've got these two notes that we are sharing. So it's A, F. These notes are shared. And so it's like, cool, so I'm gonna do, see the emphasis is gonna be here. And then I'm gonna just change the note that changes the chord, right? It's the same thing, I'm trying to change as little as possible. And then we've got this chord. And then I thought, okay. And then, so basically I did, which is, the way to conduct the voice is with less movement possible, with less jumps. And it's like, cool, I'm just gonna do something that's very, very repetitive to create a motor, and that's it, and try to move this as little as possible. Did that, so that's what I tried. It's I could have done something different, for example. Yeah. Yeah. Right, something like you can start down and then go up, sort of thing.
What was the fourth process for the second ostinato pattern? Can you break it down like the first one, which was great, by the way?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I did is the same thing, that I had these two notes again, and I thought, cool, these are the two notes that I share in these two chords, right? And it's like, cool, so it changes these notes, really. So I'm gonna do, so it starts with, and then, okay, so I've got this chord,
Get it.
and then I've got this chord. Yeah. Or now. right? Because this is it's like sort of like an appoggiatura. Yeah. Yeah, and the third version would be starting down. Or it's staying very much in the chord, basically.
But it was a great description.
Awesome. Sometimes you
And which key is the whole song?
say again. Do you want to hear the entire thing?
No, the key that is the whole theme made.
The key is
Because you have A, F, C, G.
exactly. You can see this. You can see this from a minor point of view or from a major point of view. If you see it from a minor point of view, then it's A minor, La menor. And if you see it from a major point of view, then it would be C major.
C major, yeah, which is the
Yeah, I don't know why. Me naturally, I always come from like a major point of view, but most of my composer friends come from like this. They see this as a minor point of view. There's nothing wrong.
And a question still again about this ostinato thing, and the patch was a combined patch, but if you would deconstruct it in a way, then which instruments are involved in this short middle range ostinatos?
Violins 1, 2, and violas.
Violins 2 and violas.
1, 2, and violas.
1, 2, and violas.
In this case, yes, it's a little bit of a thick sound,
you let them play all the same.
Yes, exactly. You're thickening that unison. You could, when it goes bigger, maybe you want it to sound a little bit thinner. I believe this is, what is this? This is more like yeah, again, the same thing. So I've got like a thinner and a thicker, so thin, thick. This is violins 1, 2 violas, and this is violins 1, 2 violas twice, two different libraries in this case. So I think it's like Albion and Spitfire Symphonic strings.
The thick one is viola 1, 2, violin 1, 2 viola from one library, and the same from another library in one patch.
Yes, in one track, 6 patches.
Okay, to have it really thick.
Yeah.
The thin is only one library, but including the viola or without the viola?
Including the viola in this case.
Okay. And the range, yeah, it's everything, yeah, that viola and until violin 1 can play, yeah.
What I do is what I would try to do is this. I would go in here, right? So this is so for example, in this case. So if the viola articulations, what I would try to do, it would be something like this. I would add a modulator. So first select all groups, then add a modulator, and I'm going to solo the viola. This is the viola. I'm going to solo the viola just so I can hear the viola. Because what happens is that, so what I would like is to have the viola starting here and then fade away as it goes higher, because I don't want the higher register of the viola. I want the best range of each family, of each section, right? And so I want the low and mid range for the violins and the low and mid range for the viola. The higher range for the viola, it's gonna stand out a little bit, and I don't want that type of sound. So what I would do is I would go here, add modulator, external, and then this is gonna be key position. I selected edit all groups first, key position, and then I'm gonna edit the graph when this loads. As it loads. Key position, edit the graph. I'm gonna select a preset.
You do it for each instrument in the patch.
Just for the violas, because just for the viola.
Just for the violas.
Yes. And so I'm gonna go down like this, something like this. And now I just need to understand where the G is, and so I'm gonna create another dot here. Oops. Anyway, and then I'm gonna, okay, so this guy here. Oops. What did I do wrong? Viola's articulation. What? Viola. Hello. Why? Oh. 1 second. What's wrong with you? Key position. Alright. I'm gonna solo this so I can hear the viola, just the viola. And then it fades away.
And this is that happens between because of the last line that you just entered in. But what is with this three above? The one is very linear. Then there is a high shelf, and then the low shelf. What is this for?
I don't even know. So I could know, but I wouldn't even want to know what all this is. I didn't create this. This came with the library.
It's still there. Okay.
Yes.
You only added the last one.
Yes, I added the last one, exactly.
That makes it easy.
Yes. No, these ones like, oh, I don't know what it is. I'm not gonna touch it. It's like they did this, sounds good, but it's there. So yeah, and this one, as you can imagine, this is the keyboard. So the G, I think the C is gonna be around here, and then it goes down like this. It's about finding the spot. And so
do you also do it with why not also with the violin 2 or violin 1? Because they're so dominant in this viola section.
What we could do is, yes, we could do it a little bit. So for example, where is this? Out of here. Yes, right, it's like, the G. Oh, right, it's like we could lower the volume of that so it's a smoother transition. So we don't hear it's like viola, 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 and then boom, bigger section with the violins mixed with the viola. Yes, we could do that as well with the violins. It would sound way smoother. Let me see this one.
I never saw this before. So happy. Thanks for sharing.
It's I think trailer music is it focuses. I believe trailer music focuses on that. It's about, to me, it's like the right staccato sound rather than the staccato by itself. Right? It's like the notes are very important. Don't take me wrong, but it's the sound as well. It's getting it perfect. So
sure, we can have a quick
so what I always say is like, composing step is composing and then it's mixing, right? When I'm composing and I focus about the notes, harmony and all that development, and then when I'm mixing I focus about sound. When composing live trailer music, it's exception, right? I'm thinking about its music and the sound. It's not just how I orchestrate it that creates the sound that I want. It's also how I tweak everything that gets me closer to the sound that I'm after. You were saying? Okay. Do you have any other question? All right. If not, I'm gonna give you some time to do this. I'm gonna drink some water and I'll be back. Okay. So your turn. Sorry, I'm here, one sec. All right. Let's change a few things here. Bring me back. I'm gonna get rid of this guy. Yes. Boom. I know. All right. All right. And now go in and bring back me. Yes, that's me. And then we're gonna go here. All right. All right. So let's do it big now. So what I would do, so I don't keep this, so I don't keep you longer. The big part would be this. I'm gonna explain it. This one here. All right. Let's see. What the? Nice. All right. This is not good. I don't know why. Okay, so what do we have here? Basically, what we have here is the everything, right? We have, we've got long string, long brass, long choir. We've got some long woodwind, so every section doing long notes, and then we've got big epic percussion, and we've got the melody, right? So I'm gonna say this again. We've got long choir here. Right. This goes on top of the so we have the longest strings as well, doing the same thing, same harmonies. We've got the strings doing the longer strings doing the same melody that we had. Do di da, da do da ti do dem, right? The longer strings, and then doing the ascending line, just dum do da di do dem, right? This part here. And then we've got that motif that we had at the beginning. Right? I developed it a little bit. And the evolution of was inversion. Right? So it's inverting is like putting a mirror, and what it went up, now it goes down. So it goes down. And with a little bit of variation. And what it does is, which is basically what we have coming up. This is two repetitions, two repetition of the theme, so 8 bars, and it's presented here once, and then the repetition, it's when the high strings come in with these staccatos. Sorry. All right, so that's that. On top of that, we have horns counter melody, which is here. The horns coming in here. And it just yeah. So the melody that we had, the melody at the beginning with the piano, it was this. Right, that was the piano melody. Same notes here. Di, do, di, dum. This do, di, da. This comes from the melody. Do, di, da, di, do, dem. Right. So do, di, dum. Just this first note. Di, dum, di, dum. Din, do, re, din, do, re, di. This part here, okay? So everything comes from the same place, in a way. And so we have long brass, long woods, long strings, long choir, everything long notes. And then on top of that, we have staccato strings. A real orchestra wouldn't have space, you couldn't have the entire string section, and on top of that, staccatos. But here we are doing this. So we've got long everything, so long orchestra almost, and then with choir, and then we have staccato strings, and then we have the big percussion, and then some of the inner melodic lines. We start with the longest strings, and then the longest strings go to staccato strings, and with the horns counter melody. Okay, let's talk about the percussion real quick. Percussion is these guys here. So we're gonna solo this and this. All right, very standard. How to create a percussive bed, and for this style specifically. Keep it in this case very simple, but I would say start with something that's this is the final sound. When I started creating this, I started with the low epic drums, and it sounded like this. So I start with something that's super simple, even obvious, and then start adding complexity on top of that. That's what I would do, the step by step. Start creating something super simple, and the first thing that I did was I recorded this. So basically it's 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, and on. That's it, simple as that. And start with something simple, then add layers to create a little bit of complexity. It doesn't need to be too complex, you know, something that fits the style. And then once you have it, then you can go in there and redo a few things to add some more interest, okay? So on top of that, then I added a second layer of low toms, which is this one here. Sorry, let me see if I can do this right. Cool. I'll do this merge. Cool. Now. And then on top of that, I added some high toms, all like big ensemble, epic horns type of sound. These are from 8 Dio, epic toms, series.
Mark?
Yes?
You have controller changes, expression on those toms.
Oh.
Is that actually doing anything?
Okay, yes, yes. So, yes, it's helping the... That's one thing, and the other thing is modulation. This here, I'm just recording, making sure that it's up. And the modulation, what the modulation does is control. So two things. First, I'm doing enhancing the dynamics with expression. That's one thing. And the other thing, I'm controlling the room ambience. So this is with the room mics, and this is without the room mics.
Yeah, that's great. Yep.
Just making sure to try to make it sound as dry as possible for this style. In your face, very as dry as possible. So that's what I'm doing here, and a little bit of the same here. A little bit, right? A little bit. Because sometimes we try to control the dynamic just with velocity, and while it works, how can we enhance that even farther, right? A little bit, or control it a little bit more, or enhance it. And then after that, I added the high toms, something like this. So if you see here, I go with the. Let me just pull up the rest of the orchestra. A recommendation in general is, whenever possible, if you want to connect the orchestra to like the melodic orchestral instruments with the percussion bed that you've created. Sometimes like I'm having I get this question many times. How can I balance epic percussion with orchestra, and how can I find like the perfect spot in balance where I still have the punch and the epicness and the power of the percussion, while I still keep the emotional element of the orchestra. If I bring the percussion too much, I get the punch and the epicness and the power, right? But I lose sort of like the emotional part, and if the other way around, I don't have enough percussion, sounds weak and all that. What's the part of it is, part of it's gonna be mixing and compressing, so I gain a little bit of dynamic, and then I can push them a little bit farther. A little bit of that is as well finding it's not the right balance is not here all the time. Sometimes the percussion needs to be louder, sometimes it needs to be, and I'm not even talking section. I'm talking sometimes a beat needs to be louder, and right, like the overall section, the overall percussion, sometimes it needs to be a little bit louder, sometimes a little bit. But the thing that makes the biggest difference to me is, how do we connect the orchestra? How to make it feel like they go together? A very easy trick is if you can enhance some of the orchestral gestures with the percussion. That's the best way to connect both worlds, right? So if you've got the strings doing a zoom ta ta tan tan ta ta tan tan type of thing, you don't need to repeat the exact same thing with like the snare za ta tan tan type of thing, but you can do it za ta tan tan, right? Just that. And then maybe another instrument can connect this. That's the second part of that, right? It doesn't need to be obvious, but if I'm creating the percussion bed anyway, if I have to spend some time designing what every instrument that are gonna do is gonna do, there is no reason why I should create this from scratch, because again, music is development, right? Good music, a good symphony, and thriller music specifically, it's development. So don't bring new elements to the music try to get the stuff that you already have, that you've created, and adapt it to the new element that you are adding, and make timbric evolution, timbric development using some of the melodic or rhythmical elements that you already have. Hopefully that makes sense. I try to explain it simple as possible. I don't know if I made sense or not. Cool. All right. So that's that. So what we have basically is, it's very simple. We've got the sub bomb, some hits here and there's these guys here, boom, 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 and then we've got very simple low so we've got taikos, low toms, high toms, and that's it. Then we've got the snare, which is this guy here. And that's it. And the cymbal roll to connect section. Type of.
Mark?
Yes?
2 questions. You said you have taikos. Which of these lowish lines are the taikos?
So these 2 low lines are the low toms. These higher lines are the high toms. This guy here that I'm going to open right now, these are the taikos.
There are taikos. It was thanks. And the second question, there is the second from the bottom is the third from the bottom is epic toms high with a D. Why D? Which
nothing. Just duplicate. When you duplicate one track.
Duplicate. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. Good question, Horace. All right. Yeah. Another version, another percussive bed for the same. Less busy, I guess. This one is a little bit more busy. For sure, build towards the end. Right, type of thing. And that's it. Cymbal swells to connect the different sections here. And that's it. I think one thing that we did not mention is notice how when we bring in the horns, counter melody sort of thing, we've got the strings. So what we do is right. So it's, in a way, it's not perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect, but we are combining. We're giving a space for the 2 melodic elements, and to me, the horns section, it's more like the counter melody, but still, the melody gives a space to the counter melody and the other way around. There's a little bit of overlap, and the counterpoint there it works. So there's no conflict melodic in the one melody and the other. And if we did have conflict, it wouldn't be that big of a problem for 2 or 3 regions. The main 2 is 2 different registers, 2 different timbres, 2 different articulations. So we've got 2 different registers, 2 different timbres, strings, horns, so sonic separation, like timbric separation, and then 2 different articulations, which also helps creating separation. One is staccato, and the other one is long notes.
I have a question regarding the longs. You mentioned in the beginning, so you were stacking all the longs, strings, brass, woods, blah, blah, blah. How do you spread the voicings, or is it just a plain copy and paste every? I mean, it couldn't be because they are so different, the instruments. How do you come to the voicing of the sustain layer?
Yes, I do the strings first, but I do it several times till. So I do the strings first, and it's like if this is 8 bars or 16 bars, whatever it is, I practice several times till it becomes easy to me, and I record the strings, and I know that maybe I start here, right? I start here, maybe I'll do something very, very simple. So I'll start here, maybe, and then I know that I go here, and I do fifths. It's like, cool. This is how it goes. Din, dan, don, don, dan, dan, don, dan. Cool. I practice like cool, and then I record layer by layer, and I follow sort of the same voicing, the same. I do the same thing. Maybe one of them will go higher at some point, but I try for it to have a progression and for all of them to go in the same direction.
But you don't think in classical music to voice a chord from top to bottom. You think of, okay, let's do it in this section and then find a line towards higher and lower, like
big thick voicings for every section. So every section on top of the other. So it's not like so for the brass, for example, it's gonna be big thick voicing. And for the strings as well. For the choir, as high as I can go, as low as I can go. I can't go as low with choir than I would go with the strings. But yeah, it's just big, as thick and as big as possible in each section.
Like there are more close voicings and open voicings. Do we speak of close and openness, or do we speak of thickness in layering?
Okay. Big thick sound as a concept, but definitely it's going to be. So what I did here, I forgot to say, but we have to. So what I did here, I did sorry, right? This is like the higher voices. Down here it would be octaves, so it's gonna be yes, definitely we want as much because we have so much stuff. We are putting stuff on top of, if we're putting the strings and then brass, etc., etc. Yes, the voicing need to be open in the low register, a little bit closer in the high register. So we gain clarity. So it's gonna be this thing that I recorded here. It would go something like this, right? It would be something like this. So it would be in the right, cool. And then I would do. I'm gonna go in here. Get out. So like this. Yeah. This one out. Does it make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, and do this with all sections. You produce such a dynamically expanding thing for the strings and for the brass and for everything.
Yes, exactly. And the what I do is I do one pass of my. In the past, I used a breath controller, so I would record the 5 voices in one pass, and sometimes I may needed to add an extra lower octave, and so I could control expression and modulation with breath. I had my hands free, both of them. These days I don't use it anymore. I use the controller and all that. Problem, I have one hand here, and so I just can't record 3 voices. What I do is I record what to me is more, gives me a better idea of the final sound. So I record the top voices generally when it's gonna be a thicker voicing that has 5 voices or more, and so I record the top high voices. So in this case would be sort of, we could imagine this as being violin 1 to viola. So I do the first pass, and I record dynamics. That's important for me because it gives me a true sense of how this is gonna sound. And in the dynamic, what this is gonna make me do is lower dynamic. I'm gonna need to perform differently, more overlapping, etc., right? And higher dynamic, it's gonna the way the instrument, the way the sampler reacts to my performance, it's gonna change the way I perform, right? So I don't record this I record it with dynamics first because dynamics affect the way I perform because of the feedback that's giving me. And then when I've got that, which is like, that gives me a good representation of how it's going to sound, then I record the other 2 or 3 lower voices. And I do that in each section or each instrument. I don't copy and paste this because every instrument behaves differently. It's like I need to record again to make sure that the brass instrument that I'm using, or the brass pads that I'm, not the instrument, the brass pads that I'm using sounds the way I want it to sound. And maybe these dynamics do not work for that other specific pad over in the brass library. Cool.
Sorry, Mark. How do you manage that? If you re-record the other voices over that, how do you manage that the expression and the modulation won't get overwritten?
I don't record. That's the trick. I record the expression, modulation, and maybe I don't know, vibrato first pass, so notes and dynamics, and then the second time around I just record the notes. And the dynamics are already written when I'm completing the voicing for the same pads.
Yeah, exactly. That's yeah, I understood that, but how do you manage it? How do you, because ultimately in Logic, I work in Logic. There, it re-records also the setting for my CC11, CC7, all that. It will be recorded again, even if I don't touch it.
Oh.
So the possibility to like exclude it from the recording process.
So to me, it took me a while to. So in Cubase, it's having active the merge function. So the MIDI will not overlap the other. It will. So there are different ways of doing it. You can overlap or you can merge, right? So you can erase the info that you had earlier, or you can just overlap. So in this case, I have it set up to overlap, and I haven't used Logic for like 12 years. But not 12 years, more like 8-9 years. But I know that you could. In this case, it's MIDI. I don't know how to configure this, but there is a way here to for in Cubase to set up so when you record it, it doesn't overlap. It doesn't erase or not the notes or the MIDI data or like the MIDI curves. And so that's one thing. And the other thing is when I go in here, and I'll explain the third thing. And when I go in here, I have to activate this guy here. Otherwise, it's gonna record the MIDI. It's not going to overlap. It's gonna merge it, but in a separate region. And I have to go out there and merge it manually. And it's a pain in the ass. And the third thing, I forgot. The third thing is that in Logic, when I did that in Logic, I used. I don't remember exactly how Logic calls, but it's retrospective recording. I am not recording on top. I am listening to this thing, right? It's like if I have a piano, right? I'm gonna record a piano.
Yeah, I know that one. I used it all the time. That's cool. That's very cool. Okay, then overlapping and merging is maybe the topic for me here.
There you go.
Cool. I would.
Yep.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah. Hopefully you'll get it to work. But for those, yeah, go ahead.
One more question. Could you just open up the brass layer maybe?
Yep.
And explicitly your patch. What you got in there.
Yes, definitely. So I'm gonna open the brass long. There's nothing. Yeah, it's Albion. This is the old Albion. But yeah, Albion. That's what I've got here. What I would do, if I wanted like, I'm just gonna do it. Let's build like a thick, huge trailer, massive brass sound. Let's do this. So I'm gonna start with Nucleus. Nucleus. Let's do this. Nucleus. This will do for a YouTube video, I guess. Big brass. Okay, epic brass. So we're gonna go with single patches, sections, brass, and we're gonna know full ensembles, brass, Nucleus brass, sustain, yes, and then I am going to have a little bit of Albion, which is down here. Albion. This is the new Albion, not the new, the current. Then it's gonna be brass, long, and brass, long, low, and high. This guy here. Small. There's the low. And then I'm going to go, there you go, Symphobia. And I'm gonna ensemble. Strings, gonna be brass, stage, yes, brass, ensemble, brass, sustained low, and yeah, I do want to have, yeah, this guy here. Sustain with dynamics, this is the old library. Browse folder, and this guy here, boom. Okay, and now what I need to do is I'm gonna open these guys. And I'm gonna do 1 1 2 2 1 1 1 1, and obviously I'll need to tweak volumes and all these. Hopefully Symphobia will have these, but I don't know. Let's see. Symphobia as always. Let me just tweak this guy here. I'm gonna select all groups. The modulator is gonna be MTCM. You've seen it this 1,000 million times. -1. All right. Let me go in here. This guy is gonna go here. Yes. Cool. Really less. Cool. On top of that, I will layer some like individual sections like trumpets and all this, but for now this will do. Okay, small. Hello here. I'm gonna kill someone. little bit more now. I don't like dynamics that much. I wasn't really hearing what was going on. So there's a library that I don't really like. What is this? Okay. Let's go with this one for now. Dynamics one more time. Dynamics. Yeah, I know what I did. There you go. Now with that, still work in progress. What happens now is that the brass is conflicting with the melodies and everything, right? So if you want this like big moment, like chordal homophonic brass moment, this works great. With the inner melodies, there are many conflicts. It's not the way this was designed. But for like the big brass sound, yes, this would be the way. And what I would do on top of this is I would add a little bit of clarity with some instruments. Oops, sorry. What they do, yeah. Right, adding the, let me see the notes. It's like now add some like good sounding section like cinebrass trumpets or trombones or stuff like this, and layers it on top to add a little bit of more like realism, the type of the legato transitions, and to add a little bit of that realism.
Do you leave the the high notes in the brass section in?
I added
Or do you...
I added trumpets. That's what I did.
Yeah, right. But the high notes from the brass from the horn section you did before the patch, do you leave them in, or do you kick them out and replace them with trumpets?
What do you mean? Like, oh no, in here?
The highest line.
Should I get rid of them? No, I leave them in and I add trumpets on top of that.
Okay, I see.
Yep.
What about the woodwinds you mentioned earlier? We are stacking longs of everything, but I cannot get the woodwinds.
Let me see. They're not here, but if we added them, same story. Oops. It actually, in this arrangement, I don't have woodwinds, but it wouldn't hurt to have them in. It depends on how. So when you have, if you want bigger sound, yeah, have everything. If you want more aggressive sound, then have. So for example, if you want like aggressive brass chords or staccato like stacks, and then have brass and the strings to add the low support and a little bit of the brightness and all this, but don't add woodwinds because it's gonna soften the sound. If you just want big massive sound, then it wouldn't hurt here to add the woodwinds in.
Maybe for the other sections.
What do you mean?
Maybe we can use the woodwinds in the other sections.
Yes. Yes. But in this section, it wouldn't hurt. Now, what I just did is just to show, how to create a big brass sound. And I didn't finish. I would add some extra like trombones and trumpets to add a little bit more just to hide. So like when you use ensemble sound, it's great because you get the big sound quick. But sometimes you still need to add a little bit more definition, and it's like you get that brass sound, or it's like a string sound, but we need to layer the violins or the cellos or the trumpets and the trombones to add a little bit of like extra definition, color, and separation. So that's what we do. Now, what I did is just to show how to create that big brass sound, like chordal homophonic brass, big like trailer sound. But it wouldn't work with the arrangement that I have right now because it's taking too much space. Now, having the woodwinds, it could work having the woodwinds here as long as they don't go too high in register.
And speaking of thickness and trailer sound, we heard that the choir is in. Can you show again the choir MIDI?
Yes.
And these are, I guess, it's only vocale vowels, or which choir patches do you recommend for?
There are many. In this case, I used Requiem. I like Requiem for like a standard big choir. I use the As. Sometimes I use Os, like Os, when I need some like a softer, smoother type of sound, and then As to go like more aggressive and bigger. Nucleus has O's and As, and when I configure that, I load the two patches, and I use this one to transition from O's to As because it's all I've got. With other libraries, I've got more balls, and so then that's what I use. In this case, Requiem sounds like this. Let me see. 1 second. Yes.
Can you show the MIDI?
Yes. Sorry. Let's put this in context. an E note here. The note where the horn's melody lands many times or starts many times is the third of the top note of the whatever voicing we have, and the voicing, the top note is the same for the strings and for the brass and for strings, brass, choir, right? So it's like the melody serves like the top, like the lead note in the voicings, the big thick voicings that everyone else is doing. So in a way, because this in a way it's a melody, right? And so want to make sure the counterpoint of the different other melodic lines work well with this. So the two melodic lines, this case, the two important ones are the horns and the staccato strings, right? And the ti-da-di-da with the horns. But then behind that, there's the background. They are all doing this ascending melodic line. So make sure that everything works cohesively.
I got another question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, for the horns, again, in your experience, because now as you did them, they sound like kind of like a church organ, right? A huge sound, but very organy. Did you add any organs to your sound for the brass? Did you ever try that?
Sometimes it works great. I like non-super like orchestral standard stuff to blend with the brass horn. Sorry, no, you're talking about horns, right? About brass specifically.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah,
Organ,
great. Electric guitars as well, like rock electric, like power chords electric guitar with the staccato trombones. It's pretty awesome as well. So yes, we could have like big power chords, long power chords with the brass as well. And yeah, organ, be awesome. And adds a little bit depending on the organ as well. If you add like a more aggressive Hammond or with a Leslie type of sound as well, then you can, or activating the Leslie in the top part of the swell with the brass, right? Like this type of thing. That can work great as well.
Okay, you're talking about the electric organs.
Yeah,
I was talking analog, like a church organ.
Yeah.
Like
yeah. Both. Yeah, absolutely both. So the church organ, gonna get that church organ sound. Maybe you can add like a layer of epicness, maybe because of the and if you go for like the electric organs initially were created to imitate that sound, but then you can add all these other things like the phalangers and the whatever thing, or the Leslie and all these type of things, and so you can use that to like modify the sound. I was just thinking out loud, but overall I think it's a great idea.
Regarding layering, it would be interesting if you could tell what other pairs for the melody are quite common. We know strings and horns is a good match, but what else from your experience?
For this type of music?
Yep.
Yeah, so trumpets, like the same way that you have strings and horns, you can have, so the strings and horns is nice because two different registers, so they complement each other very, very well. But if you want to have them going, like doing the same melody, then the horns are going to be in the lower octave with the strings, and they're going to provide a very, very nice support for like it's going to thicken you're going to have the violins in octaves usually, and then the horns are going to be the lower octave, or if it's 3 octaves, the lowest octave, and then that's going to provide support and thickness to that strings melody. But you can have, if you want to blend, if you want to change a little bit the color, then you can blend in the woodwinds, and they're going to change. They are not going to stand out because they're going to color a little bit of the sound. If you want to add that epic climatic moment at the end, trumpet works great. What it works very, very well as well is starting with horns and then transitioning with the trumpets. There's a very common problem to have the horns starting in the mid high range and the melody keeps going up, and then like the easy solution is like I'm gonna move the horns on an octave, and actually what works even better is moving the horns on an octave and that specific moment adding the trumpets to to keep like a sense of that brass line is ascending, and both are great melodic instruments. If you want a little bit more heroic sound, then instead of horns and trumpets, you're gonna have trombones and trumpets. That's gonna sound great. And you can also have, if you wanna bring synths in, you can have like you can do two things. You can like have melody counter melody with like strings and lead synth type of thing, or you can blend the synth in with the strings melody to add this aggressive digital, not digital, but synths are digital sounds, right? So it's like to add a little bit of a bite and aggressiveness and definition to the strings. You can do that as well. Definitely the winds are not very common for like having like melody and counter melody for especially for like the big moment, but they do add color, and you can use it as well for like sparkle ear candy to connect sections and runs and stuff like this, depending on the and you're like, well, maybe if it's like a brighter type or major type of trailer music, if it's dark ominous, it works perfectly, works exactly the same, just they are going to be like a tonal rips type of thing. It's not going to be like C major or scale connect two sections. It's going to be like a tonal rip type of thing. So that works well for the woodwinds in this type of context. But generally, we're going to have then we have also like the question, like the question and answer type of thing. So we're gonna have the Brahms sometimes they play, which is this like brass or C-ish type of sound, and most of the times we see it as just providing support, but sometimes it also can work with like you can have like the especially when we enter like the more like the sound design or hybrid realm, where it's not going to be as melodic, but there are going to be effects, and it's definitely going to have like the question and answer type of thing, and then there we're going to be talking about hits, the type of hits and type of sound design, question and answer, and you can have like you can have with the type of synthy thing with the strings, staccato strings, brass type of thing. You can have the low brass, monster brass, stuff like this, like from Cine brass, and then you can have some brass from any of the Audio Imperial or Keep Force libraries. So you can. It's a very broad question, but if it's more casual, that would be like the cliche type of thing.
And for the staccatos, have you tried some plugs, synth plugs? Or
yes.
What would?
For what question again? Sorry.
Yeah, the question is to spice up the staccato or give them another color. Have you ever thought of pairing them with another instrument?
So I like, in this case, I like some sort of percussive synth, something like this. Not necessarily tuned, sometimes just percussive. And if you, yeah, that's what I would say.
Great, thanks.
Cool. All right. So I'm gonna post this class at the end of today. I've got to post the last one. It'll take a little bit to encode because it has gone 2 hours and 40 minutes. It takes a little bit for when we go over 2 hours. YouTube takes a little bit to encode this. But you can watch the last 2 hours on YouTube, and tomorrow you should be able to watch the entire thing to replay if you wanna. And then tomorrow this should be posted, and I'll post also all the slides and everything. Cool. So thanks everyone. Thanks everyone for joining today, for staying. Great questions, everyone. Have a nice week. Have a nice weekend. Actually, today's Friday. We don't even know what day of the week it is.
You too, Mark.
All right.
Have a great one.
You too. Bye-bye, you guys. Stay safe.
Great lesson.
Bye-bye.
you.
See you. Thank you.